Guerrilla warfare has changed the outcome of battles when a smaller army fights a larger army. Thus, guerrilla warfare has changed history and revolutionized battle.
Here we are, we're about to demonstrate some guerrilla tactics that guerrillas warriors commonly utilize when they're in wooded areas such as Vietnam or other wooded areas like in Asia. So yeah, let's get to this.
As you can see, Ryan was hidden in that tree. We didn't see him when we were walking over, so after we passed him, Ryan could jump down and had a clear shot at our backs, and we did not have enough time to turn 180 and shoot him. This is typically what they would do in Vietnam among other wars that involved guerrilla warfare.
Another commonly used tactic that guerrillas would utilize would be sniper ambushes. The targets of these sniper ambushes would commonly be soldiers who were unsuspecting or soldiers who were setting up camp. Me and Frank are going to demonstrate for you what happens to soldiers who don't expect the ramifications of guerrillas like Ryan. Start.
Sun Tzu was a military genius from China who is commonly said to be the person who first conceptualized guerrilla warfare. His book, The Art of War, was an important piece of ancient Chinese strategy. The earliest description of guerrilla warfare is an alleged battle between Emperor Huang and the Mao in China in ancient history.
Guerrilla warfare has played an active role in American wars and has changed their outcomes. Here are some examples. Revolutionary War. The notion that British soldiers lined up while American guerrillas just shot at them is recognized as a myth. There were, of course, a few exceptions, such as during battle at Lexington and Concord. What they really did was use hit-and-run tactics and also utilize the strategy of destroying enemy supplies and denying them resources to make their army more susceptible to attack. From there, the Continental Army had a good chance at defeating the larger, more powerful British Army.
Civil War. Most guerrilla warfare in this war occurred in the border states. These states were mostly undecided of whether they were going to secede from the Union or not. The result was civilian-to-civilian combat. A gang of pro-Union citizens might get together and kill some pro-Confederacy civilians, and vice versa. Partisan units were also utilized in this time. There were more conventional units that conducted missions deep behind enemy lines. One famous commander to use this tactic was John Mosby. He was a Confederate that led a cavalry partisan force that was known for being able to conduct lightning-fast raids and blend in with locals to avoid detection from the Union forces. Raids by cavalry units were also very common and effective in this time, and they were considered to be unconventional. They destroyed supplies and other support. Confederate President Jefferson Davis wanted to use guerrilla warfare to prolong the war, but he was opposed by his generals, who would rather surrender and ask for forgiveness from the Union.
Vietnam War. The Vietnam War is commonly thought to be mainly a guerrilla war, but much of it was conventional. The NVA would fight with conventional warfare, while the Viet Cong leaned towards guerrilla tactics and unconventional warfare. Tunnels played a large role in fighting because they provided a safe haven, a base of operations, and a constant means of escape. The Viet Cong failed in their objective, showing how a guerrilla campaign struggles over the large scale and for extended periods of time. This war is a prime example of how guerrillas can effectively prolong a war with unconventional tactics, and how the average Vietnamese citizen can in reality be the enemy.
Modern day. Guerrilla tactics are often employed by the Iraqi insurgents against coalition forces. These tactics can include the bombing of vehicles via roadside bomb, but there are other methods. Suicide bombers are also used to great effect. Ambushes and sniper attacks, as well as the more traditional hit-and-run raids, are also not uncommon. The guerrillas in Afghanistan are very difficult to detect, and even harder to kill because of their ability to blend in with the population. American troops don't want to harm any innocent civilians, and that makes it hard to kill terrorists because they are disguising themselves to look like bystanders, when in reality they are plotting to kill people.
Revolution. Rather than armies charging at each other and losing a large quantity of soldiers, generals started to devise plans to secretly wear down the enemy and preserve soldiers. By wearing down the enemy's supplies, resources, and soldiers, when the real battle came, the enemies would not stand a chance. This revolutionized warfare as we know it, and it continues to be used successfully to this day. Reaction. At first people did not know how to combat this strategy, but they eventually caught on. The strategy then spread throughout the world and evolved with the current use of terrorism such as suicide bombings and roadside bombs. Reform. People began to learn how to combat guerrillas, and that caused a complete change in warfare. It was no longer a mystery on how to fight guerrilla warriors, and countries began to create units specialized in defeating these unconventional fighters. Certain types of guerrilla warfare are looked down upon by most nations because they are hard to fight and inhumane. This includes car bombs and suicide bombers, as well as other unusual methods of fighting. Thanks for watching our documentary about guerrilla warfare, and please remember to rate, comment, sub, and later guys.